The Valiant Dawn had vanished 20 years ago, lost beyond the edge of human space during a fierce battle in the Orion War. No distress signal, no debris, nothing. It had become a legend, a ghost story whispered among space travelers. Then one quiet cycle, alien scanners on the border of the Vega sector picked up something impossible. A human signal, faint but real. The coordinates pointed to the dead zone, a place where no ship had ever returned. When the cruiser appeared, it was like a dream wrapped in nightmare. The hull was untouched by time, shining brighter than when it launched. Strange blue energy pulsed across its surface like veins of light, moving in patterns no one could explain. The communication channels opened, and a voice echoed through the frequencies. "This is Captain Elias Trent of the Valiant Dawn, requesting permission to dock." But Trent had died 2 decades ago, his name carved on the memorial wall back on Earth. Alien ships surrounded the cruiser, their weapons ready. None dared fire. The Valiant Dawn carried something powerful, an energy signature that bent scanners, twisted readings, and froze every system that tried to lock on. The human ship drifted forward as if guided by invisible hands. When the docking clamps connected, the galaxy held its breath. The airlock opened and the crew stepped out. They looked exactly as they had 20 years ago. No age, no scars of time. Their eyes glowed faintly blue, just like the energy that flowed through their ship. Scientists rushed forward. "Where were you?" they asked. Captain Trent only smiled, his voice calm. "We were gone for 6 hours." The aliens exchanged terrified looks. For humans, it had been 6 hours. For the galaxy, 20 years. What had happened inside that wormhole? What force had changed them and their ship? And why had they come back now? As the cruiser's engines powered down, the sensors screamed again. Hidden under its hull was technology unknown to any species, something that defied gravity, time, and logic. It was human-made, but not from this era. It was from the future. That night, the stars above Earth flickered as if something was watching back. The Valiant Dawn had returned, but the universe would soon learn. It did not come back alone. The Valiant Dawn was now under heavy guard inside the Vega orbital station, surrounded by alien scientists and human officers trying to understand what had returned. The crew remained calm, polite, and strangely detached, as if their minds were elsewhere. Their eyes glowed faintly under the station lights, reflecting something deeper than human memory. Every test showed they were human, yet their DNA carried tiny changes, subtle, precise, as though rewritten by time itself. Captain Trent walked through the debriefing chamber, silent as the questions poured in. "Where were you? What happened in the wormhole? Who gave you that technology?" His only reply was the same soft line, "We followed the light." When asked what light, he simply smiled. The engineers who examined the ship were speechless. The engines were not built with any known material. The ship's power core emitted no radiation, no heat, and yet could power a planet. Even the ship's computer behaved like it was alive, responding to emotion instead of commands. One technician said he heard it whisper his name when he touched the panel, and after that he refused to go near it again. Rumors spread quickly. Some claimed the Valiant Dawn had traveled through time. Others said it had entered another dimension and brought something back with it. The Galactic Council demanded full access, but Earth Command refused, saying the cruiser belonged to humanity. That decision angered many species who had once fought beside humans and now feared what this new power meant. Late one night, an alien spy tried to sneak into the cruiser's core. The moment he crossed the threshold, the ship came alive. Blue light filled the corridor and the spy screamed before vanishing into thin air. Security rushed in, but all that remained was the faint scent of ozone and a single word burned into the metal wall: return. The next morning, the crew was gone. Every one of them vanished from the station. Only Captain Trent remained, sitting in the command chair inside the cruiser, eyes closed. When the guards entered, the engines roared to life. "Where is your crew?" one shouted. Trent opened his eyes, now glowing bright blue. "They're not gone," he said. "They're home." The cruiser's hull shifted as if breathing. Panels moved, lights changed, and symbols appeared across the surface, ancient human markings mixed with alien language. The ship's AI spoke for the first time, its voice calm and strange. "We are the echo of humanity's tomorrow." Outside, the station's system started to fail. Communication cut off, power flickered, and sensors overloaded. The Valiant Dawn rose slowly, unharmed by the chaos around it. The guards shouted for orders, but none came. Every device nearby bent toward the ship as if pulled by invisible gravity. Then, just before the ship jumped to light speed, Captain Trent sent one final message to Earth Command. "We saw what's coming. We saw what humans become. Prepare the galaxy. We're not the only ones returning." The Valiant Dawn vanished again into a ripple of blue light, leaving behind a terrified silence that spread across every world. No one knew if they would ever see it again, or what it meant that the future had just spoken through a human ship. Weeks passed after the Valiant Dawn vanished for the second time, but the echoes of its return spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Alien governments held secret meetings, fearing humanity had unlocked something that could rewrite reality itself. The Galactic Council demanded answers, but Earth Command stayed silent, hiding data behind encrypted channels. Deep beneath the surface of Luna Base, a small team of human scientists studied fragments left behind by the cruiser, tiny shards of metal that pulsed with blue light, refusing to cool or decay. Dr. Mira Haldane, head of the research team, had never seen anything like it. The fragments behaved like living cells. When exposed to light, they moved. When touched, they hummed softly, vibrating at a frequency that matched the human heartbeat. One night, as she leaned closer to observe, the fragment spoke, not in words, but in thought. A whisper echoed in her mind. "He's coming back." She froze, heart pounding, staring at the glowing shard. It pulsed once, then dimmed as if going to sleep. At the same time, reports started to surface across distant colonies. Civilian ships claimed to have seen blue distortions in the void, like ripples in space that hummed when scanned. Some even reported hearing human voices calling from within. Many thought it was madness, but one freighter captain sent proof, a short video feed showing a shadow of the Valiant Dawn appearing beside his ship for exactly 12 seconds before fading away. His ship's instruments melted from the energy surge. Panic spread fast. Some called the returning cruiser a ghost. Others whispered it was a sign of the coming war. Only Dr. Mira began to see the truth. This wasn't a haunting. It was a signal. The ship wasn't lost. It was moving through time itself, leaving traces behind as it tried to come back. But to what or to whom, no one knew. Inside the secure chamber, the fragment flared to life again. Holographic symbols appeared above it, unknown runes that shifted into English letters. They formed a sentence. "The cycle repeats." Mira's assistant backed away, terrified. "Is it trying to communicate?" he asked. Mira nodded slowly. "No," she whispered. "It's remembering." Hours later, alarms screamed through Luna Base. All systems connected to the fragment overloaded. The floor shook as energy rippled through the lab. The shard rose from its case and exploded into beams of blue light. In the center of that storm, a holographic image appeared, Captain Elias Trent. His voice echoed across every screen in the base. "This is not a warning," he said, his tone steady but distant. "This is a message from the path ahead. Do not follow us." The lights flickered out. When power returned, the hologram was gone, but the walls of the lab had changed. Etched into the metal were hundreds of unknown symbols, each glowing faintly blue. Mira touched one and her vision blurred. For a second she saw stars collapsing, alien fleets burning, and a human figure standing alone against the void. Then it was gone. She fell to her knees, trembling. Whatever the Valiant Dawn had become, it wasn't just a ship anymore. It was something beyond time, beyond control, and it was trying to send a message across the ages. Humanity had reached too far, and the future was reaching back. Months passed since the last message from the Valiant Dawn. Humanity was restless, and fear turned into obsession. Every nation wanted to recreate what the lost cruiser had achieved. Military labs on Mars, Europa, and the Belt began building secret prototypes using fragments of the mysterious blue alloy. Each experiment ended the same way: failure, explosion, and disappearance. The alloy refused to obey physics, as if it rejected being controlled by anyone other than the ones who came back through the wormhole. Dr. Mira Haldane had become the voice of reason in the chaos, but even she couldn't escape the nightmares. Every night she saw the same vision: Captain Trent standing in a burning sky, whispering the same words, "Don't follow us." She had stopped sleeping, spending her days decoding the glowing symbols that appeared on her lab walls. The symbols seemed to predict events before they happened: ship launches, accidents, even deaths. It was as if the Valiant Dawn was still communicating, watching through the fragments it left behind. On the outer edge of the Sol system, strange phenomena began. Space distorted into spirals of light, swallowing entire probes without a trace. Observers saw human shapes flickering inside the distortion, as if time itself was bleeding open. A transmission suddenly cut through all frequencies, static first, then a human voice. "This is the Valiant Dawn. We are in between." The signal was unstable, breaking with strange sounds that didn't belong to any known species. Earth Command traced it to the dead zone, the same place the ship had vanished the first time. Ignoring every warning, a rescue fleet was prepared. The UHS Resolute led the mission, carrying soldiers, scientists, and Dr. Mira herself. The moment they entered the dead zone, their scanners went blind. Time slowed. Colors twisted. The stars vanished. Mira looked out the window and saw blue cracks opening in space, each showing flashes of different realities. One where Earth burned, another where it floated empty and dark. A massive shadow appeared. It was the Valiant Dawn. Its hull shimmered like liquid metal, shifting forms every second. The ship looked alive, breathing light, pulsing with energy. Captain Trent's voice echoed through the bridge, but his face appeared younger, almost digital. "You shouldn't have come," he said softly. "Every moment you stay here changes your world." The rescue fleet tried to respond, but their communications turned into echoes. Crew members screamed as their reflections in the glass began to move on their own. Mira stepped forward, whispering, "Captain, what are you now?" His image flickered. "Not what when. We are the after. The result of what humanity becomes when it touches eternity." Suddenly, the Resolute's engines ignited on their own, pushing the ship backward. A massive shockwave of blue light burst from the Valiant Dawn, and for a second, time froze. Mira saw the future, cities of glass, humans made of light, stars turning into gates. Then everything snapped. The fleet was thrown out of the dead zone, half the ships gone, vanished without trace. When Mira awoke in the medbay, the blue shard was in her hand again, glowing brighter than ever. The last thing she remembered was Captain Trent's voice whispering inside her mind, "It's not over. The dawn will rise again." When Dr. Mira Haldane opened her eyes, the medbay was empty, silent except for the hum of emergency lights. She could still feel the vibration of the blue shard in her palm, pulsing like a heartbeat. The others who survived the dead zone rescue were gone. No bodies, no signs of struggle, only scorched footprints that faded into light. Mira rose slowly, her body aching, and looked through the window. They were no longer near Earth or anywhere known. Outside floated broken ships frozen mid-explosion, their debris suspended in still air as if time itself had stopped. She staggered toward the command console, trying to restore contact. The system flickered, static filled the air, and a single phrase appeared across every screen. "You brought it home." The letters burned briefly, then vanished. Her pulse quickened. The shard in her hand grew hotter, glowing with the same blue as the Valiant Dawn's engines. Then came the sound, a faint whisper, like someone speaking through a long tunnel. She turned slowly and saw Captain Elias Trent standing in the doorway, his figure shimmering between solid and light. He looked at her, calm and sorrowful. "We tried to stop it," he said softly. "But the future always finds a way back." Mira froze, unable to speak. "What is this place?" she managed. He smiled faintly. "Not a place, a memory, a fragment of time looping itself." His image began to flicker as though the universe itself rejected his presence. "You shouldn't have come here, Doctor." "You opened the cycle again." The ship shook violently, alarms blaring as the stars outside started to move backward. Time was reversing. Through the window, Mira saw Earth forming again. Oceans unfreezing, continents reshaping, history folding in on itself. "What's happening?" she shouted. Trent stepped closer, his eyes glowing bright. "The future doesn't wait for permission anymore," he said. "It's rewriting the past." The shard floated out of Mira's hand, spinning slowly in midair. Light filled the room, expanding until it swallowed the walls. When it cleared, Mira stood on solid ground, but not the ship. She was in the middle of a vast city made of crystal towers, glowing blue beneath a sky of swirling auroras. Human shapes walked the streets, but they were not fully human anymore. Their bodies shone like energy wrapped in form. They looked at her with curiosity, whispering words she couldn't understand. A tall figure approached. His voice sounded like a melody of many voices at once. "You are from before," he said. "You carry the seed. Mira realized he was talking about the shard. She held it out. "What is this?" The figure smiled. "It's what humanity becomes, a memory that refuses to die." He pointed toward the horizon where a giant ship hovered in the clouds. It was the Valiant Dawn, but larger, more alive. A living being of light and steel. "That is the first of us," the figure said. The ship that crossed time and became one with its own echo. Mira felt her knees weaken as realization struck. The Valiant Dawn had not brought technology from the future. It was the future, a bridge that merged human consciousness with time itself. The shard she held wasn't just metal. It was a seed of that evolution. Trent appeared beside her again, his form fading. "You can still return," he whispered. "But if you take the seed back, the cycle begins sooner." Before she could answer, the city trembled. The sky cracked open with light and everything began to collapse inward. Mira screamed as she fell, clutching the shard tightly. The last thing she heard was Trent's voice echoing through her mind. "Remember, the dawn always finds its way back." Mira fell through the collapsing light, her body weightless as time itself folded around her. When she opened her eyes, she was lying on cold metal surrounded by shadows. The air smelled of oil and electricity. She looked around and realized she was back on the Resolute, but it was empty. The walls were burned. The lights flickered and strange blue cracks ran through the metal like veins. She tried to call for help, but her voice echoed into silence. Then from the corner of the corridor, a child's voice whispered, "You shouldn't have brought it back." Her heart raced. She turned and saw a small girl standing barefoot on the metal floor. Her eyes glowed softly, the same blue as the shard still clenched in Mira's fist. The girl looked human but too perfect. Her movements smooth, her presence unreal. "Who are you?" Mira asked. The girl tilted her head. "I'm what's left of them, the ones who crossed time." The ship creaked as if alive. Every surface began to shift and breathe, like the metal itself was waking up. Mira stepped backward, but the floor rippled under her feet. The child reached out her hand. "It's waking," she said quietly. "The seed you brought, it remembers." The shard in Mira's hand pulsed violently, glowing brighter until it burned. She dropped it and it floated between them, spinning faster and faster. The walls opened like doors, revealing the stars outside, but not the familiar sky. The constellations were wrong, the colors too bright, too sharp. Mira felt dizzy as her mind filled with whispers, voices of humans, hundreds of them, overlapping through centuries. "We are not gone. We are the bridge." She clutched her head as visions flashed. Fleets of light ships, humans ascending beyond flesh, alien empires bowing before human cities made of stars. It was beautiful, but it terrified her. The girl walked closer. "Do you see now?" she asked. They didn't vanish. They evolved. The Valiant Dawn wasn't lost. It became the first memory of the new kind. Mira shook her head. "No, this isn't evolution. This is corruption. This power, it's rewriting everything." The girl smiled sadly. "That's what creation always looks like from the past." The ship shuddered again and the child began to fade. "The dawn is returning," she said softly. "It's already here." Mira turned toward the window and her breath stopped. Outside the broken hull, space twisted open like a wound, and from it emerged the Valiant Dawn. It looked nothing like before. Its surface glowed with rivers of blue fire, its form shifting like liquid. The sight of it made her chest tighten with awe and fear. The cruiser spoke, not through speakers, but directly into her mind. "Dr. Haldane," said the voice of Captain Trent, calm and steady. "You brought us back sooner than expected. The future and the past are merging." Mira felt the ship's pull, as if gravity itself bent toward it. "What do you want from me?" she cried. Trent's voice softened. "To understand. To remember what we were before we became infinite." The ship's light grew until it filled the entire sky. Mira could feel her body breaking apart, turning into energy, her thoughts scattering through time. In her last moment of clarity, she saw Earth not as it was, but as it would be. The oceans glowed, the skies shimmered with invisible cities, and humanity no longer walked. They floated as beings of pure energy, reaching beyond galaxies. Then the light swallowed her, and all that remained was the whisper of her voice, drifting through the stars. "The dawn has come again." The light faded, and silence spread like dust across eternity. For what felt like forever, there was nothing. No stars, no sound, no time. Then a spark flickered in the void, small and trembling. From that single spark, a shape began to form. It was a ship, ancient yet newborn, the Valiant Dawn. Its surface gleamed like liquid glass, and its engines hummed with the rhythm of creation itself. Inside, memory stirred. Dr. Mira Haldane awoke to the soft hum of the cruiser's core. She was floating in the command chamber, surrounded by holographic patterns that twisted like living light. Her hands were no longer flesh. They shimmered faintly, transparent at the edges. She could feel her heartbeat, but it was synchronized with the ship's pulse. Somehow she was part of it now. A soft voice echoed around her. "You came back," it said. She turned, and there stood Captain Elias Trent, unchanged yet more ethereal than ever. His face was calm, his eyes glowing like distant stars. "What happened to me?" she asked. Trent smiled gently. "You crossed the threshold. You're between what was and what will be. The human mind isn't meant to exist here for long." Mira looked through the transparent walls and saw galaxies swirling in reverse, stars forming backward, light folding in on itself. "Is this the future?" she whispered. "No," Trent replied. "This is the beginning. The future and past have finally met." The ship pulsed brighter as if responding to his words. Data streams flooded the room, showing images from thousands of years ahead. Humanity reborn across countless worlds. Cities of light, living machines, children who spoke to the stars like old friends. Mira felt tears in her eyes, though she wasn't sure they were real anymore. "It worked," she said softly. "Humanity survived." Trent nodded, his voice full of quiet pride. "We didn't just survive. We became the architects of time." But the beauty was shadowed by something darker. Beyond the bright galaxies, a storm of black fire was spreading, a void devouring the edges of existence. Mira could feel it pressing against her mind. "What is that?" she asked. Trent's face hardened. "That is what followed us. The cost of touching eternity." The dawn's return awakened what sleeps between realities. The ship trembled. The walls rippled as if the universe itself was breathing heavily. "Can we stop it?" Mira demanded. Trent looked at her with sorrow. "We can't stop what we've already created, but we can contain it." "You can." Her body began to glow brighter, the same energy that powered the shard now surging through her veins. "Why me?" she asked, her voice shaking. "Because you carried the seed," he said. "You are the last anchor to humanity's past. If you merge with the core, you'll seal the breach, but you'll never return." The chamber filled with blinding light as the void drew closer, tearing reality apart. Mira hesitated only for a moment before placing her hands on the central console. Her body dissolved into streams of energy, merging with the heart of the ship. Her last thought was a whisper, "For humanity." The Valiant Dawn roared to life, bursting into light so pure it erased the darkness. The shockwave rippled across galaxies, rewriting time. When it cleared, the void was gone and the stars were safe. On every world, people looked up and saw a new dawn rising across the sky, a beam of blue light stretching through space. Legends would call it the day humanity saved the universe. But in the quiet heart of the ship, a single voice echoed softly through the void, neither alive nor dead. Mira's voice. "We are the light that remembers." And somewhere beyond the edge of time, the Valiant Dawn kept traveling, carrying the soul of humanity forever forward.